Ahoy there, and welcome back to Building the Boys. We now have issue 108 of Hachette's Build the Titanic to finish out the month. We have another piece of hull, which is good. I mean, we love finishing, we really want to finish the hull, but ultimately, it's light work. It's more to do than the last one, at least, but it is a case of putting in 4 screws. But it will, theoretically, complete most sections of that hull. Now, there's been concern about, well, what goes on top of this, because it's about 2/3 of the size. Well, you can see from the original pictures of this that the section, it looks like that slots in and then we screw it down. So, because it's, I know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about, because it protrudes from the back, it's a separate part that's the way it is. So that's what's going to happen with the stern. So that's going to be quite a lot to build there. So theoretically we're finishing the hull, but we're not, because I know what I mean. In the next one, we will get the opposing sides. So in the next 2, which will be coming in April, we'll get the opposing side, you can see there. So we're going to get upper and lower. And we also get, I know, that in the next 3, so 9, 10, and 11. So in 9 and 10, we get the opposing sides of what we've just done. In 11, we get the final piece of keel. So the final piece of keel going. I don't know what comes in 12 yet. I would like to think it finishes this off. Maybe it will, maybe it won't, I don't know. Until they release that information, don't know. But yeah, we're getting close. We're getting close to the end of this one. I can see with this one as well, you can see at the bottom there, we have these little plates. Now this is because they're on the starboard section. There are gaps where we put screws in, and these are the plugs to plug those up and cover those gaps up. So that's good as well. We will be having a conversation at the end about this one, about how Titanic, as much of a tragedy as it was, did we learn from it? We did learn from it. Did it avoid things like this happening again? No, because Titanic, believe it or not, doesn't even enter into the top 4 of maritime disasters. It's not in the top 4. Barely in the top 5. It was barely in the top 10 if you include wartime. Peacetime maritime disasters, it doesn't make the top. Doesn't make the top 3. Doesn't. So what does? We'll talk about that at the end. You'd be surprised what they were, when they were. But we'll have a chat about that at the end. Without further ado, let's get this one open. Let's see what we get. Let's get it built. Okay, let's take a look at what comes in 108. I really like the curvature on these last pieces that we're doing. There's our LM screws, which of course are Allen bolts, and you know exactly how I feel about that. Not well. If I ever met a guy called Allen Bolt, I think I'd probably punch him. He wouldn't deserve it, but you know, you got to vent it somewhere. Right, so this is this one here, and again, lovely curvature to this. Now there will be pieces that add on to here for the props. So our prop housing, you can see again here, this is where we're going to start having our props going to come out of here, and it'll look nice. It'll look real nice. Now this is going to be screwed in with 4 of the LM screws. They're going to go in there, 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 and there. I don't know how well I'm going to be able to film this, but we'll take a look. Okay, so this is the section we're working with. What we're going to take in this piece here, slot in there like so. We're going to marry up to these 3 above. So that locks in there. Now we are going to Allen bolt this into place. But thankfully, a couple of these I can use my free gift. And we have to use 3 in 1 on these. So we start screwing these in. Let's get that one in place. There we go. Excellent. Right, so with that one in, I'm going to put the other 3 in, and then we'll take a look. Okay, so that's all 4 of those screwed in here, 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 and here. Looking lovely. So we've got that nice curvature still going on with it. Flip this around so we can have a look at it. So there you can see. I mean, it's looking rather lovely at this point. It's looking great. Some really nice curvature. Loving this. Let's have a chat. So this is how we are now looking. Look at that. That look lovely. And we can see, if I show you from the angle down, you can see exactly what we've got as we are curving in. So by the next 2, it's going to be pretty much attached. And we will have that keel piece as well in number 111. Looking lovely, right? Looking really nice. Let me put this down. There we go. It's looking really nice. I'm really happy with it. It is light work. I mean, this is the thing. So we know in the next two. So the next two, it's going to be a single screw and some plugs, and then it's going to be 4 screws and some plugs. Now it's going to be an absolute bugger getting those last screws into there, because Allen keyed, that's it's not going to be fun. I'm looking forward to that, but at least it'll be done. So that the lion's share of the hull is done at that point. It just is. We've got the piece that goes on top, but I don't think that really counts. The actual, we're done, which is a beautiful thing, really is. We are talking about, if you stick around the build show, thank you for stopping by. Please remember to like and subscribe. We are talking about maritime disasters, 3 maritime disasters, starting with this one. So that is the Donna Paz. Now, believe it or not, that one has got way more casualties than the Titanic. And it happened in 1987. 1987. It's a horrible story, but it's a true story. The Donna Paz was manufactured by Japan, and it was sold to a company in the Philippines. It was registered to be able to hold 1,536 passengers. However, on December the 20th, it had 3,600 passengers on board. Yeah. So it had way more than it should have been carrying. Way more. Over double what it should have been carrying were crammed on board. 3,600 passengers were on board. A ship that was supposed to only hold 1,500. 3,600. So what happened to the Donna Paz? Well, the Donna Paz collided with an oil liner called the Vector. In the collision, it breached the fuel tanks of both ships, causing them to ignite. So it wasn't just a sinking, they burst into flames, and it's an oil tanker, so you can imagine the explosion that happened. Everyone was lost. The whole thing just ripped through. There are minimal survivors. But the actual death toll of that incident was 4,586. 4,586, which is 3,000 more than died on Titanic. Triple Titanic's figure. In 1987, anyone that could have had any sort of chance of survival didn't have a chance of survival. And the reason why is because, this is unbelievable, but completely true. So the Donna Paz, all of the life jackets were locked away. So you couldn't get a life jacket if you wanted one. Couldn't get one. It had no functioning radio. So there was no way they could radio for help. So clearly lessons have not been learned from Titanic regarding the Donna Paz. As unbelievable as that is, what makes it even worse is that Donna Paz didn't get the blame. So Donna Paz did not get the blame for the deaths of all these people. It actually, the blame went on the Vector. The Vector collided with the Donna Paz. And they said the Vector was completely unseaworthy. Because, again, it was sailing without a lookout, no radio, no lifeboats, no life jackets. And you're like, this is unbelievable. But this happened. So this is the perfect storm right there. That is 2 ships that should never have been on the water, carrying passengers that should never have been on board, ill-prepared, ill-equipped. Disaster happens. Unbelievable. And again, when I was saying about Titanic doesn't come into the top 3, it doesn't, because remarkably, the 3 biggest maritime disasters in peacetime actually happened within 6 years of each other. So 1987 was the Donna Paz. There was another in 1991, and then another in 1993, I believe. But we'll talk about those later on. But that's unbelievable. So, I mean, who locks away life? For what purpose would you lock away a life jacket? For what purpose? That's insane. But that's what happened. And as a result of that, thousands and thousands and thousands of lives were lost. That was 1987. This isn't ancient history. This is the 80s. This shouldn't have been happening, but it did. But it's a remarkable story. It's one that I mean, I can't go into the full details of it. We don't have the time. But I would advise you look up the Donna Paz and read about the incident, and it's unbelievable. And it's something we don't talk about. And I think it's because with shady governments that are like, let's not talk about that. Because I can't believe Donna Paz did not get dragged over the coals for what it did, and it really didn't. It was all blamed on Vector. And it's like, yeah, I appreciate what you're saying, but had Donna Paz been even slightly prepared, those people would have lived, wouldn't they? And they didn't. 4,586 people. Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. Which, you know, we learnt nothing. Titanic is definitely the most famous maritime disaster, but it is not the greatest. And even the Donna Paz isn't the greatest. There is one with an even higher death toll, which again, we'll talk about that in a later issue. But that's all from me. Thanks for stopping by. I hope you have a lovely Easter if you celebrate. Be very wary of everybody on April the 1st. We'll be back in April with more Hachette Build the Titanic. Got loads more coming up on the channel, including the Tumbler, the Doll's House, the Infinity Gauntlet, the Lancaster Bomber. Lots of other builds on our weekly catch-ups as well. We'd love to see you there. If you haven't yet, please remember to like and subscribe. Helps us massively in the world where you can be anything at all. Just be nice, and I'll see you very, very soon from more from Building the Boys. Take care, and I'll see you then.